I was converted at the age of 14 in my home church in San Marcos, 50 miles from here. And it was during a summer vacation Bible school. And of course, we were enjoying it, playing football, the boys. And then one morning, the pastor gathered all the group together and preached to us. And then extended the invitation. I was attentive and interested in what he was saying, and when he extended the invitation, I just felt an inward compulsion just to respond. Because he asked if any of the boys wanted to accept Christ and to make a decision. And I lifted my hand. I don't think I understood everything that was involved, but I just felt an inward compulsion to respond, and I did. And then my call to ministry followed shortly thereafter. Again, it was in my home church, but I think if I remember correctly, my decision for ministry was made in a camp for youth. And I heard the preaching nightly and was attentive. And just something within me compelled me to respond. But I need to add this part. My mother, a very godly woman, had determined that I was going to be a preacher. And she prayed to that end. And prayed, and I didn't really share her interest but she continued, and in the passing of time, I felt the call and responded, and then finished high school in San Marcos, went to the University of Corpus Christi, finished there, went to Southwestern Baptist Theological Seminary in Fort Worth and got a THM, and that was the beginning of it all. I would hesitate in calling them achievements. I would rather call them privileges in ministry that God granted me. And one of the most significant for me was the following. I was a pastor at Trinity Baptist Church in Houston, and the Lord was blessing our ministry greatly. I had prayed as I arrived in Houston and saw the enormous challenge. I prayed earnestly and asked three things. I remember kneeling on a cold morning and wrapped in a blanket. And I asked three things of the Lord. First, that He would grant us a television ministry. Then, that He would lead us and bless our bus ministry that we had started. I don't even remember the third thing, but the Lord responded greatly. That television ministry began. I didn't have any money, but out of the blue, the director of the Spanish department of Channel 26 in Houston called me, said that there was a slot that was open on a Sunday evening, and he thought I might be interested. And of course I was, but then my words were dashed when he said, "But it'll cost $600 every time." I didn't have the money, but the Lord opened the way. We had some very prominent people in the church and wealthy people, and the Lord touched them so that they began to support our television ministry. And that was so fruitful. So fruitful. It covered the metropolitan Houston area and even beyond. And our church received the benefit, Trinity, on a Sunday morning from visitors that were watching the program and responding to the appeal. Sometimes we had up to 50 visitors in Sunday school. So the Lord was blessing. I'm convicted and convinced of the fact when the Lord wants to grant you a blessing, He starts out by getting you to pray for it. That's what He did with me. And He blessed that ministry, and it covered the whole area and beyond, and so we could tell that it was the Lord's doing, and we praised Him for it. Very simple. Be humble, be obedient, and be faithful. Those three things. Just be humble. God loves humility, but hates pride. Be humble before Him. And be obedient. Obedient. The Lord places such a great price upon on obedience. If you love me, keep my commandments, said the Lord. And that's true. Obedience is the key, and then be faithful to the Lord. He's worthy. I have one. When we were at Trinity in Houston, the Lord blessed the ministry, as I said. And we were having a lot of baptisms, people that were converted. And one given Sunday morning, I was going to baptize a young man that had accepted Christ. He was much bigger than me. I was in the baptistry already. I could tell that he was very nervous. And I tried to help him, and he was very stiff. But nevertheless, I helped him, and he stood before me. And I tried to dip him, to submerge him, and I couldn't. He wouldn't bend his knees, and I tried again for the second time, and finally the third time, and when I couldn't do it, and we didn't do it on the third time, he said, no, he said, I think I'm going to remain a Catholic, and walked out of the baptistry. And there I was. But it was one of those incidents that happened out of the blue, and the congregation was hilarious. They were very amused at that. But I thought that was an incident that was kind of humorous.